Okay, so welcome back, right? So what I'm gonna do first is I'm just gonna run this app, right? Then see where we left off, right? Okay, so we have the dashboard, properties, right? So we don't have transactions, clients, settings, and authentication, right? So what we're gonna do in this video is we're just gonna create transactions, clients, authentications, then start working on the back end either in this video or in the last video, right? And when we're done with everything, then we can work on settings, right? So let me minimize this and go back to our text editor, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open the terminal. So let me pull this up, right? So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna say cd views, right? Then once we're inside our views folder, then I'm gonna say Python create string.py. So we need to create transactions, right? Okay, so let me open views folder. So we have transactions here. So let me just create clients while we're at it, right? So here, this should be clients like this, right? Okay, so now let's get rid of the terminal here, then navigate to transactions.kv, right? Okay, here it is. So we're gonna need transaction.py. Um, let's use properties. So properties.kv is gonna control A, control C, everything, then paste it inside our transactions, right? Okay, so let's navigate up, get rid of these properties here, right? Let's change this label to transactions like this, and let's scroll down. So this is going to be transactions list, right? Like this, right? So we're gonna work on these here, right? But for now, let's open properties.py like this. Then control C everything here, then paste it inside transactions, right? Let's not control C. Let's copy everything from here like this. Control C. So let's paste it down here like this, right? Okay. Let's go back up. So what I'm gonna do is, okay, let's import these first. Okay, we're gonna import these Kivy.clock like this, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna comment this out, then work on our transactions.kv. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna get rid of property actions and everything else. So let's navigate to transactions.kv, right? So we need to change these tables here, right? So we're not gonna need an image, so we need to get rid of this part, and we need to get rid of these. So let's just leave maybe 1, 2, 3. Let's leave 4 for now, right? Okay, so what I'm gonna do is here I'm gonna say this one, let me call it date, right? Then we're gonna need a property, so this is going to be property name, and this one should be the amount like this. We're gonna need a type, right? Either it's an expense or income, right? Then let me just copy another one here, and this is going to be notes, right? So this is gonna tell us a lot more about the transaction. If it said it was paid by a bank, or it was a maintenance cost, or it was rent received, whatever it is, it's just gonna be put inside notes, right? You can expand on this, right? Just for the sake of this video, I'm just gonna put notes here. But if you have any other ideas to deal with this better, you can do it here, right? So let me look at it. We can reduce the amount to 0.15, right? Like this. Then the date is gonna be 0.15. So this is gonna take 30%, right? These two here. And this one we can make it type, we can leave it at 0.1. Then our property you can leave it at 0.3. So we have 6, 7. So this needs to be 0.3 here, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna rerun this and see how this looks. Like this. Okay, so we need to navigate to transactions. Okay. Let's minimize this. We forgot to do something here. So we need to open our app folder, then open any.py, right? And import our transaction. So I'm gonna Control C and Control V this, Control D. So this is going to be transactions. This needs to be transactions also, right? We need to open home and navigate to home.kv, right? So where do we have transactions? Okay, yeah. So let's get rid of this button here, right? And this screen, when I change it to transactions like this, right? So let's rerun this. Okay. Okay, we forgot to put an S here. Okay, so now we have our transactions displayed here, right? What we can do is start working on the back end of it. The transactions per Py file side, I mean. Okay, so let's minimize this. So now we need this one, right? So inside this data, right, we don't need an avatar. We only need it. So here, this one is going to be date, and this is going to be property. Control Z this, right? Just thought of something. So I'm just gonna Control D and select everything within a variable name, right? So this one is going to be date, right? And this is going to be property. Let's go back up. Okay. This is going to be amount, like this. This is going to be type. Okay, so now we need to change this to, we had said notes in the KV file, but let's just say details, right? Like this. So let's navigate back to transactions but KV and change this to details, like this. Okay, so I'm just gonna get rid of this here, like this, right? So we need to import this confirm pop-up. Okay, we need to get rid of this avatar here. So this is going to be 0 and this is going to be 1. It's going to be 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? Okay, so date, property, amount, type, details, right? So let's get rid of everything else from here. So I'm gonna hold shift, press here, then Control D, right? So here I'm gonna get rid of this one here. This also. We're not gonna need an avatar here, so let's get rid of it and get rid of it here also. remove this. Right. So we need to remove this here. So this needs to be details.text. We need to get rid of the spinner here. So let me just Control X and paste it here. Well, the type is going to be a custom dropdown, right? So we're gonna need the ID of the custom dropdown widget, right? And the spinner inside of it. So that's why we did instance.ids.type.ids.spinner.text. Yeah. Right. So let's get rid of this avatar here. So let me Control D this. Okay. So we don't need this here, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move this one up here, then get rid of this one. Okay. Let's get rid of this avatar. Okay. So let's get rid of everything here also. Okay, let's get rid of this avatar. Like this. Okay, so let's scroll upwards, right? And I'm just gonna select this. So I'm gonna rename these transactions like this, right? Then I'm gonna Control D this, change this to add transaction. Scroll back up, then change this one to update transactions. Like this, all right? Let me Control D this and change this to delete transaction. Right? So I'm gonna select this delete property and change this to delete transaction. Like this, right? So I'm gonna scroll back up here, right? So this one needs to be show transactions. Okay, this is transactions. Okay, fine. So this needs to be on transactions. Like this. Okay, so this needs to be transactions list. Okay. For X in okay. So we don't have a transaction tab yet, but I'm just gonna say transaction tab here, like this. Okay. It's looking okay. So here we need to say add transaction, like this. Okay. Oh, so let's change this to transaction model, like this. Okay. So um okay, this needs to be update transaction, like this. Okay. Um so let me select this property here, right? Okay. I think we're gonna have an issue here. So what I'm gonna do is where is it? Okay, yeah. So I'm just gonna select it with the question mark here, right? So that I can change this to to update, delete, or add transaction, right? Like this, right? So for now, right, we need to create our tab, right? Our transaction tab, right? then our transaction models, right? Then if we made any mistake or made any error here, that's when we're gonna be able to see it properly, right? So before we go, I'm just gonna work on these callbacks, right? So here this needs to be a update transaction callback. Like this. Delete transaction callback. Like this. Delete transaction callback. Right, so we need to do add transaction callback. Like this, right? Okay, backspace, transaction, like this, right? So for now, let's navigate to our widgets folder, then open our tables here. So what you can do here is you can just copy this one here, property tab, right? Control C, then press right arrow, Control V. So let's scroll back up, right? This needs to be transactions tab, right? So let's change this to transaction tab, like this, right? So inside here, we're not gonna need an image, so let's get rid of this, right? What we can do, let's we need to get rid of this gray color here, right? So let me Control D, then backspace here, Control S, right? So I don't have okay, so got rid of it here also. Do we have it here? Okay, fine. So we got rid of the image, right? The best thing we can do is navigate to transactions.kv, right? And copy this here. Control C, navigate back to tables.py. So let's just paste here, right? Okay, so here, Control V. So I'm gonna select this whole thing here. So Shift tab it like this, right? So let's get rid of the gray color. Control S, right? So what we can do is, right, is say this is going to be root dot date, and this is going to be root dot okay, I just forgot where I just removed here. So this is going to be property, okay? Root dot property, like this, right? So this is going to be root dot amount, like this, and this is going to be root dot type, and this is going to be root dot details, like this. Okay, so let's scroll downwards and copy this one here, Control C, and paste it down here. So this is going to be transaction tab, like this, right? So we're not going to need an avatar, right? So this here is going to be date, and this is going to be property. This is going to be amount. This is going to be type, and this is going to be details, like this. So let's get rid of these other three here, like this, right? Let's navigate back to transactions.py and let's import our transaction tab, like this, right? So let's uncomment this one, right? And then you can run this and see if we don't have anything, we don't have a problem with displaying our transactions, right? So right now we don't have proper dummy data here, but I'm just gonna leave it like this. Okay, so moment of truth. I will need this one, transactions. Okay, so our transactions are displaying correctly, right? So now we need to work on our, what you call it, on our transaction model, right? So let's minimize this right? Then open models.py inside our widgets folder, right? So okay. So I'm gonna copy this one here. Control C, right arrow. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a line of hashtags here. Then put property model like this, right? And then paste this. This needs to be transaction model. Okay, so let's change this. Okay, so we're not gonna need an avatar, right? So what we can do is I'm gonna do this, right? So this is going to be date. This needs to be update transaction like this, right? So this one right here, right? This needs to be property. This needs to be amount. This needs to be type. And this needs to be details. Like this. So when I get rid of everything here up until here, let's get rid of nodes, status, and or type here, or like this, right? So now we need to navigate up, and let me just select everything from here. Hold Shift, then Control C, right arrow. So let's put a line of comments here, right? And this is going to be transactions model like this, right? Then paste everything here. So this needs to be transaction model like this, right? So inside here, right? What we can do, like, so this needs to be a transaction. Okay, so let me just do this before I forget. Okay, so inside here, right? This needs to be date like this, right? And we need to give this an extra 5 display pixels. Then we're gonna get rid of this text field here, right? So here we're just gonna add a label and a button, and then that button is gonna open a date selector, a widget that we're gonna use to select the date, right? Okay, MD label. So we need to give this MD label an ID. So our ID is going to be date, and we need to give this a font styling. So font style is going to be label, then raw is going to be medium like this. Okay, so down here we need to add the empty icon button. So let's put a float layout first like this. Then here we need to give this some size int x, which we're gonna set to none, and width, which is going to be self.height. Right. So inside this float layout, that's where we're gonna add our empty icon button like this. So the icon is going to be, let's put a calendar like this. Then theme, text, color is going to be custom like this. Then text color, let's set this to AD8A8C like this. So we need to put a hashtag here. Okay. Let's give this a position hint. So pause hint. So center X, we're gonna set it to 0.5. So that puts it at the center going vertically. Then center Y, we're gonna set it to 0.5 also, and this is gonna set it at the center going vertically. So it's going to be center Y, and this is going to be 0.5 here. So what we need to do now is we need to add an on press section and on press function. So on underscore press like this. Let's say root dot let's just say show date picker like this, right? Okay. So let's just work on putting the date picker down here before we forget, right? So we're gonna put it up here somewhere here. Define show underscore date underscore picker like this, right? So here we're just gonna say date underscore picker is equal to md model date picker, right? So let's put parentheses here. Date picker dot, so let's bind some functions to this date picker, right? So let's say on underscore okay. So we're gonna bind this to self dot, let's just say on date okay, like this, right? So I'm just gonna duplicate this. Then this one is going to be on console like this. Then we need to say date picker dot open like this. So now we need to create this on date okay and these on date console functions, right? So down here, right, I'm gonna say define on underscore date underscore okay. So in here it's gonna take in self and instance date picker like this, right? Then down here we need to say self dot ideas dot date dot text, right? So this is so we're gonna code our MD label. We give the ID date, right? So we're gonna set the text to the date that we're gonna select, right? So here we're gonna say equal to, so let's make this a string, right? Then inside here we're gonna say instance date picker dot get date parentheses, then like this, the next 0. Let's just we can call the on console function, or we can just close the date picker inside this one date okay. All right, so let's close it inside here. So inside here we're gonna say instance date picker dot dismiss. Then we're gonna put parentheses here like this. So now let's work on date console. So I'm just gonna copy this, then paste it down here. Then I'm gonna get rid of this line here, right? So now I'm gonna change this to console like this. Then this is gonna remain the same like this. Um, this looks okay. So let's scroll back upwards. So now we need to create this property here, right? So it would be best to put an underscore here so that we don't clash with anything inside our model view, right? So where is our property? Okay, so let me just do this here. Okay, add an underscore at the end like this, right? So now we're gonna put this property. So this is going to be a custom drop down, same with type, right? So amount and details are going to be input fields, right? Okay, so let's scroll back upwards. Okay, so here's our date, right? Um, so this needs to be property, right? So I'm gonna control D this, then change this to property like this. So this ID needs to be property with an underscore here, right? So let's look for a custom drop down and just paste it here. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this, then paste it here. So I'm gonna get rid of this. Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna say select property. So I'm just gonna open transactions.py. I just wanna check something. So okay, inside here we're gonna say let me control Z this and just select it like this. So I'm just gonna edit this at the same time, right? So here we're gonna say select property, then dot like this. So we're gonna do this inside type also. So here we're gonna say select underscore transaction type like this. So let's put 3 dots at the end. So we don't need to say select current details, right? And we can make details optional, right? So let's just get rid of this details, select current details thing like this, right? So let's control S, save it. So so yeah, right, our first property, for the sake of the video, right, let's just put A, and this one let's make it B, this one let's make it C, and this one let's make it D, right? Okay, so after our property we need to have amount, right? So yeah, right, let's change value to amount. Then this ID needs to be amount in text. Let's just say transaction amount like this, right? Yeah, this needs to remain float, right? So this here should be fine, right? Then underneath that we need to have type. So don't we have type down here, right? So okay, so let's get rid of this rent here. Then we're just gonna edit our tenant, right? So tenant is gonna change to type, right? And this ID needs to be type. So this needs to be select let's put type here, and this needs to be transaction. So this is going to be select transaction type, right? So let's have two transaction types. So here let's just say income. Let's say it's rent received, then expenses. Let's just say expense, right? Let's say we've paid our property taxes or we've paid for maintenance and so forth, right? So let's get rid of everything else here. Then we're gonna have details. Oh, we had another type here, so let's get rid of it. Okay. So now this needs to be details. So this is notes. Let's change this to details. So this is going to be transaction details. Like this, right? Uh let's change this to details. So now let's get rid of this status here. So we're gonna select here, hold shift, backspace, right? Okay. So this should be fine. Let's get rid of this add image button here. We're not gonna need it. So let's run this, right, and see if we have any errors and see where to fix, right? Okay, so let's navigate to transactions, right? So let's press add. Okay. Transaction model is not defined. Okay, so let's go to transactions.py. So let's import this and we run it. Okay. So here's our add transaction model, right? So let's see if our date picker is working. Okay, so it is this bluish purplish color, right? So we're gonna change that. Let's select OK. So now we have our date selected, property selected. Then let's say we transacted with $123. Transaction type, it was an expense. Details. Um Maintenance fees, right? So let's try ending it. Okay. Instance ideas property. Okay, so this this is a custom drop down, right? So what we're gonna do, right? Where is our okay, yeah, it is right. So I'm gonna select this, then control D, right? Right arrow. So what we're gonna do here is right here I'm gonna put a dot, then I'm gonna say spinner like this, right? So we need to do this. It's already done for type, right? So let's go to details, right? So okay, now update transaction it's already fixed, but we need to change it inside our add transaction function, right? So I'm gonna get rid of this dot spinner here and leave it like right. So let's rerun this and test if everything is okay now. Okay, open transactions, add. So let me press this. Okay, what seems to be the problem now again? Instance ideas property spinner. Didn't I fix this? Oh, I should put ideas here also. So let me do it down here also. Okay. So add. Oh, I remember. So what we did, right? Remember we added what did we call it? At the end of our property, right? We added an underscore here. So let's add it here, right? Okay, so we've added it down here also. So let me check here. So we need to add it here, right? So let me just add it here. Okay, so let's run this. Seems like we're gonna be editing a lot of errors and clearing a lot of errors here. Okay. Um Details, right? Okay. So let's get rid of this ideas here. Let's check if we air. Okay, so this is fine. So let's rerun it again. Okay. So add. Okay, so this should be fine. So let's check now again. Okay, property name. Let's put C, amount, transaction type. Let's say income, details. We can leave it empty. So let's just add. Okay. Details, a transaction 5, list index out of range. Okay. So when we are adding, right, so this should be 0, right? And this should be 1, this should be 2, this should be 3, and this should be 4, right? So let's look at our update function. So this seems to be okay, right? So um let's rerun it. Okay, so transactions, add. So let's add our information. Okay. Okay, so now this is working. So let's check our update function, right? So transaction tab object has no attribute property, right? Okay, I see. I think I know what I messed up, right? So this underscore here should be here like this, right? So let's run it again. Okay, so this is fine. So let's update. Okay, so this is working fine. Deleting, deleting is working just fine. So now let's move on and create a client screen, right? Okay, so let's minimize this. Okay, minimize these also. Do we have clients here? Okay, so we already have the screen made, right? So I'm just gonna get rid of this here. Did we import it? Okay, we don't have clients here, right? So I'm gonna control C this, then control V it here. This is going to be clients, and this also is going to be clients. Let's open home.kv, right? So let's get rid of this button here inside client screen, right? And this screen here is going to be clients like this, right? So let's open clients.kv. Okay. And where do we have okay, yeah, it is. So transaction.py, right? So I'm just gonna copy everything from this box layout here. Control C, then clients.kv, I'm gonna paste everything here. So this here is going to be clients like this, and this is going to be clients list like this, right? So we need to edit a few things here, right? So first we're just gonna get rid of this size int axis, right? Like this, right? So the first one, let's just put name like this, and the second one, let's put phone. Then here we can put email. These can be address, and this, let's put preferences, right? So what you can do is you can add more fields, right? According to what you wanna put in the system, right? So you can add a lot of stuff, right? They can say you can add history, bank details, or credit scores, or whatever you wanna put in there, right? Okay, so let's run this and see how this looks. Okay, so let's open clients, right? Okay, so clients is looking okay, right? So let's start working on clients.py. So I'm just gonna minimize this. So where is clients.py? Okay, yeah. So I'm just gonna copy everything inside transactions.py. Okay. Paste it here, right? Like this. So let me import this confirm pop-up. We need to import this and this clock here. Kivy.clock like this. Okay. So I'm just gonna select these transactions, and this is going to be clients like this, and this self dot add transaction is going to be add clients like this, and same with this update transaction is going to be update client. Let's deal with this one. So delete transaction is going to be delete client like this, right? Okay. So I'm gonna control D this delete transaction function, and it's going to be delete underscore client. All right. So let me scroll back upwards and just do this going top to bottom, right? Excuse me. So this show transactions needs to be show clients. Okay. Right. Um so here this should be, let's select all dates here, right? And this is going to be name. Okay. And property is going to be phone, right? Then amount needs to be email. Type is going to be address. Then details, when I change it to preferences, right? Okay. This needs to be on clients, like this, and this needs to be clients list. Okay. Um, let's change this to client tab, clients tab. Okay. Open, delete client. Okay, this is looking okay. So this needs to be client model. Okay, this looks okay. So we need to change this update transaction to update underscore client. Let's go back upwards. We need to fix this add transaction here. So this needs to be add underscore client, like this. Um, so I don't think we're gonna have all of this is just gonna be text inputs, right? So let me get rid of this spinner here. And this one here, like this. Let me control D and get rid of all these property underscores, right? This property ID with an underscore at the end. So we're just gonna change it to phone, like this. Okay. So let's get rid of this here. So let me control D and get rid of, excuse me, down here also. And let's do the same for address, right? So we're gonna get rid of this selection. Excuse me. Okay, so we can leave preferences as optional, right? So let's leave it like that, right? So I'm gonna select this, right? Okay. So let me just do it one by one. Let me just fix it inside transactions.py or like this. So I'm going to do it here also. Okay. So let's get rid of transactions.py, right? Okay. So this looks okay. So let's change this update transaction callback to update client callback, like this. So let's do it for a transaction callback. So this is going to be add client callback. All right. I'm just gonna scroll upwards and see if we missed anything, right? So what we can do is we can start working on our tables.py, right? And if we messed up anything, we're gonna see it later, right? So let's navigate to tables.py, right? Then I'm just gonna copy this here, paste it down here. So this is going to be client tab, right? So this needs to be name, and this needs to be phone, this needs to be email, this needs to be address, and this is going to be preferences. like this. Let's navigate back to clients.py, right? So this needs to have one just client tab. We should get rid of this S here. So now let's import this. Okay. Let's navigate back to tables.py, right? So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna copy this transaction tab, hold shift, control C, right arrow, control V here. So this needs to be clients tab, and this is going to be client tab like this, right? So our first things first, I'm just gonna get rid of these size into axis like this. So this is going to be root dot preferences. This was what address, email, phone, name. Okay. So this is going to be address, email, phone, name, like this, right? So I'm just gonna rerun this and see how everything looks. Okay, so let's open clients. Okay, so this seems to work just fine. So now let's work on adding, updating, and deleting our clients, right? Then after finishing up with our models.py, right, we're just gonna go and create our authentication. Then we can start working on our backend, right? So let's minimize this and open models.py. So let's scroll downwards, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select everything up to here, then paste it down here. So this needs to be client model. Client model like this. So we're not gonna need a date picker here. So I'm gonna get rid of this. Right. Um what we can do, right? So let me just select this. Okay, so this is going to be name, right? And this is going to be on name like this, right? So this is going to be update clients like this, right? So here, this property is gonna be phone. This is going to be email. This is going to be address. And this is going to be preferences like this, right? So now let's scroll upwards and start working on the KV side. So I'm just gonna select here, then hold shift and click here, right? So control C, right arrow, control V. So let's scroll upwards and change this to client model like this. So let's change this to clients, this comment here, right? So this needs to be add client. Okay. So let's reduce this to 60, right? And this text here needs to be name, right? Right here we're gonna need a text field. Is that what we called it? Okay, text field. So I'm gonna get rid of this label here, right? And this ID is going to be name. You're gonna say multi-line is going to be false, like this, and the in text is going to be client name. Let's just say enter client name dot dot dot, like this. So let's get rid of this float layout and MD icon button. All right. So let's copy this text field here, right, and replace this custom drop down here. So this here is going to be phone, and this is going to be phone here. All right. So on this is going to be enter client phone number. Okay. So underneath that we need to have our email, right? So this amount is going to be email, and this ID is going to be email. So this is going to be enter client's email address, like this, right? So let's get rid of this input filter here. Then we need to have an address, right? The physical address. So here this type is going to be address. Let's replace this. So this ID is going to be address. So here we're gonna say enter clients physical address, like this. Enter client's physical address. Okay. Then this here is going to be preferences, right? And this text field is going to be, the ID is going to be preferences. Then here we're gonna say client's preferences. Then when I leave this optional here, right? Let's rerun this and see if everything is okay. Okay, so open clients, press add. Okay. Client model is not defined. Okay, let's navigate to clients.py. Let's import this and rerun this. So let's open clients. Okay, so here is our model, right? Excuse me. So we need to add a little bit of width to our label, right? So that our preference is just gonna appear in one line, right? So let's try adding. Okay, this seems to be working just fine. So let me just put some random information here. Then add. Okay, so we need to change this to add client. Okay, so let's try updating. Okay, updating is not working, right? Okay, so we need to fix this. So let's minimize this. Scroll upwards, right? There's something we need to fix somewhere here. Okay, so let me just control D this transaction. then change it to client like this. Then get rid of these spinners here inside the update client. Yeah. Okay. So let's rerun this. Okay. Open clients. Update. Okay. Okay. This is fine. What about delete? This is fine. Let me just use tab. Okay. Add. This is fine. So let's minimize this. So let's navigate to clients.kv, right? Models.py. So the width we set it to 60, right? So let's just set it to 70 like this. So this should fix our label at the width of preferences, right? So it's just gonna appear in one line, right? Um, excuse me. So now what we're gonna do now is we need to start working on our authentication, right? So let's open our terminal like this. So let's cd into views. Then inside views we're gonna say Python create underscore screen dot py. Let's call it auth, right? Okay, so now let's get rid of our terminal. What we need is splice screen, so let's just do it. Let's press up, get rid of auth, and say splash like this. Okay, now we have our splice screen. So now let's get rid of our terminal. Right, so let's open init.py. So we need to import these two. So let me control C on and paste it twice. Right. So let's change the first one to splash like this. And this one needs to be splash also. Then the second one is going to be auth. And change this one to auth also. Right. So let's scroll downwards, right? Let's copy these two here and paste them twice. So this needs to be splash and this needs to be auth, right? And let's change the names to splash screen and auth screen like this, right? So the splash screen now is the first screen we're gonna see when we load the system, right? So it's just gonna run for a few seconds, then it's gonna switch to our auth screen. So inside the auth screen, this is where we're gonna sign up and sign in, right? So if let's say we already signed in, right? So we're gonna create a excuse me, I'm gonna create a JSON file we're gonna call sessions.json. So this is gonna hold all our sessions, right? So if you're already logged in, right, you're just gonna go from the splash screen straight to the home screen. But if you're not logged in, that's when you're gonna go from the splash screen to the auth screen and either register or log in, right? So now if we run this, we're just gonna see a white screen because it's gonna open up and load the splash screen here. So let's just run this. Okay. So now we don't have any functionality inside our splice screen, right? So it's not gonna switch screens here. So let's minimize this and start working on our splice screen. So what we're gonna do now is let's just get rid of these here. So we're not gonna need tables.py. We can leave models. We can get rid of clients. We're not gonna need it, and let's get rid of transactions, right? So let's navigate to splash folder. It's inside the views folder, then open splash.kv. Right. So we need to change this box layout right here to a float layout like this. And now we're not gonna need these, so let's get rid of these, and let's say canvas dot before, right? Inside here, we're gonna say color, then RGBA. So we're just gonna put a white background. So let's put square braces here. Then we're gonna say 1 comma 1 comma 1 comma 1, right? Then down here we need to say rectangle. Then pause is going to be self.pause. Then size is going to be self.size, like this, right? So inside this float layout, right, we need to put a box layout. So we're not gonna do anything fancy here. We're just gonna keep it simple, right? So I'm gonna put a box layout here, then give it some orientation of vertical. Okay. Right. So here we're gonna say size int y. We're gonna set this to none, and our height, we're gonna set it to, let's say, 80 display pixels, like this. All right. So let's give this some spacing, right? Let's put 10 display pixels here. Then position int, pause int, right? Curly braces. So inside here, when I say center x, right, which we're gonna set to 0.5, then center y, which we're gonna set to 0.5, right? So inside this box layout, we're gonna put two labels. So let's put the first one, so MD label, like this, right? In the text. So our text, we're just gonna, we called our app, let's navigate to home.kv, right? What did we call it? REM. Okay, so let's close this. So let's put REM here, right? Let's align this to the center. So you're gonna say edge align center. Then let's give this some font styling. So let's set this to display. The styling, we're gonna set it to display. Then our row, we're gonna set it to, let's put large, like this, right? Then let's make it bold. So bold is here is going to be true, right? So now we're gonna put another MD label, like this, right? Let's give this some sizing y. So sizing y, we're gonna set it to none. Then our height, we're gonna set it to 20 display pixels, like this. So since we set our the MD label, we're gonna put at the bottom part, we're gonna set it to 20 display pixels. So the one at the top is gonna take up the rest of the space, right? So since we're gonna have some spacing of 10 display pixels, that means the top one is gonna take up 50 display pixels, just like this. So now we need to give this some text, right? So our text, we're gonna set it what can we put here, right? Let's just say, let's put it in caps, right? Say managing your, you say your one there. Okay, fine. Real estate made easier, like this, right? So if you have something better to put here, we're just gonna replace this text here. So we're gonna copy everything from here up to here, right? then paste it here. So we need to change this to mm, so this one we're gonna set it to medium like this, and this is going to be label like this, right? So underneath our box layout, we need to add an image, right? So when I say image, so our image source, right, is gonna come from, let's navigate to assets folder, right? Then images. So we're gonna put this here. So it's loading underscore gif, right? So inside here, we're gonna say assets images loading underscore gif like this, excuse me, right? Then I will need to give this a position in. So I'm just gonna copy this, then paste it here, right? And this one, our center Y is going to be 0.15, right? So it's gonna be underneath our box layout. We need to give this image size hint, right? So what we can do is okay, here we're gonna say size underscore int, just like this. So this is going to be none, comma, none like this, right? And down here we're gonna say size. So what we can do here is we can say 30 display pixels, comma, 30 display pixels, right? So what we can do now is we can run this and see how this looks. Okay, what happened here? Okay. So we need to put this inside quotes, right? Like this. So let's run this again. Okay, so let's scroll up what's okay. So what we need to do is we need to select everything from this box layout down to the bottom and shift tab it once like this, right? Okay, so let's run this again. Okay, so here's our splice framework. So we're not gonna do a lot of stuff to this, right? If you can do a few tricks to it, it's still fine, right? So I'm gonna minimize this, then start working on splash.py, right? So I'm just gonna get rid of this. We'll minimize this like this, okay? We're not gonna need clients, home, transactions. So let's open splash.py. So here we're gonna get rid of this line here, right? Then here we're gonna say clock dot schedule once like this, right? So inside here we're gonna say soft dot switch screen, right? Then comma. So we're gonna need our splash screen to display for 10 seconds, right? So we're gonna say 10 here. Then down here we're gonna say define switch underscore screens like this, right? So it's gonna take in self and delta time, right? So we need to import this clock here. So we're gonna import it from kivy.clock like this. Okay. So inside this switch screens function, right, we need to put a try except here. So here we're gonna say try. So here we're gonna say session file. So we don't have this session file just yet, so we're gonna create it in a minute. Right. So we're gonna call our session file session.json like this. All right. In here, we're gonna say with open. So we're gonna open our session file like this. All right. In here, we're gonna then in here, we're gonna say as file. Then in here, we're gonna say session is equal to JSON. JSON dot load. So we're gonna load our file. So we're gonna load our session file, right? Then we're gonna say, so we're gonna need our user ID, right, to determine if someone is logged in or not. Because if you remember earlier, we mentioned that we're gonna check if a user is logged in or not. If the user is already logged in, we're gonna show them the home screen straight from the splash screen. But if they're not, we're gonna show them the auth screen, right? So here we're gonna say user ID is equal to session.get like this. So we're gonna get our user ID, user underscore ID like this. So now we need to put an if statement here. So we're gonna say if user ID is equal to 0, right? So whenever we log out, right, we're gonna make sure we're gonna update the user ID to 0, right? Because whenever we are saving information in our database, right? We're not gonna get an ID with a label 0, right? So what we're gonna do is every time we log out, we're gonna make sure it's set to 0, right? And whenever you start loading up the system for the first time, it's gonna be set to 0. But if it's set to any other number, that means we have a logged in user, right? So we're gonna display the home screen. But if it's set to 0, we're gonna display the auth screen. So here when I say, so we need to import this, right? So when I say md app, this needs to place like this. Uh, get underscore running app like this, right? Parentheses here. Then here when I say dot root dot radius dot okay, this is fine. Let me continue. Root dot ideas dot screen underscore manager like this dot current is going to be let's navigate to ini.py, right? So we're gonna open this, right? So what we did, right, when you say the md get running app, right? So we call this main window here, right? And inside our main window, so since this is our root window, right? So inside our root window, we're gonna call this screen manager here, right? With this ID screen manager. Then we're gonna call, so since we're not logged in and the user ID set to 0, we're gonna call this auth screen here, right? This one. Then if you are logged in, it's gonna call this one here. So right now, let me control this and control C this. Then I'm gonna paste it in here, right? Then here we're gonna say else. So if it's not the first condition, it's gonna be the second one, right? So else, I'm just gonna copy this, control C and paste it down here. Then this is going to be your home screen like this, right? So now let's create our accept now. So here when I say accept, let's say file not found error like this. So we're just gonna return none, right? So if we don't have this session.json file, right? The splash screen is just gonna load till infinity, right? Nothing's gonna happen. So here we're gonna return none like this, right? So let's import this MD app. Okay. So now we need to create this session.json file, right? So let me do this. So we're gonna call this session.json like this, right? And so let's put curly braces here, right? Then the first one is going to be user underscore ID like this, right? So we're gonna set this so since we don't have an out screen just yet, we already have it, so let's just call it. So here let's put 0 here, right? Then comma. So let's just put a username here. So we're gonna set it to Tanaka like this, right? Okay, so let's control S. So now let's run our system and see how everything looks like. Okay, so our functionality of changing screens after the loading our splice screen, right, is working properly. So now let's minimize this and start working on our auth screen, right? So I'm gonna close this session.json file. I don't think we're gonna need our splice screen and splash.py, but let me just leave it here. So let's navigate to auth screen, right, and open auth.kv like this. So we need to change this box layout, right, to a flock layout like this. So now I need all of this, right? So let's say canvas dot before. So what we're gonna do here is we're just gonna put an image as a background, right? Then you're just gonna put a semi-transparent layer on top of it, right? So here when I say color, then in here we're gonna say RGBA. So we're gonna set this to white. So 1,1,1,1, right? Then let's say rectangle here. So here when I say pause, it's going to be self.pause. Then size is going to be self.size like this. Then here when I say source, right? So let's open our assets folder, right? So here we have house.jpg. So we're just gonna use the image that we're using when we were creating properties, right? So let's close this. We're not gonna need this, and we're not gonna need this. Okay. So here when I say assets, images, house.jpg like this, right? So now I'm gonna copy everything from here up to here, right? Then we're gonna paste it underneath here. So here we're gonna say point, let's put 6 like this, right? So let's go to splash.py. So we need to reduce this number. For now, let's keep it at 1, right? So let's run this and see how everything is looking now. Okay, right. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna put our logging in and registering form here at the center, right? So let's minimize this. Okay, let's navigate to auth.kv. So underneath here, okay, like this. Let's put a box layout like this. Then we need to give it some orientation of vertical like this. And we're gonna say size int, right? So our size int, horizontal size int, we're just gonna say 1/3, right? So it's gonna be a third of the screen, right? Then vertically we're gonna say 4/5 like this, right? Then we're gonna give this some padding. We're gonna give it some padding of 10 display pixels like this. We're gonna give this a position int. So pos int. So here we're gonna say center x. We're gonna put this at 0.5. Then center y. We're gonna put this at 0.5 also. So it's gonna be at the center of our screen, right? Then we need to give this some background color. So I'm just gonna copy everything here and paste it here. So let me tap this inside. Then here we need to say canvas.before. Like this. So this one just gonna make sure it's white. So let's put 1 here, right? Then inside this box layout we need to put an anchor layout, like this, right? So we're gonna give this a size int. So size int, let's say size int y. We're gonna set it to none, and our height, we're gonna set it to 60 display pixels, right? So what we're gonna do here is we're just gonna place our logo inside the center layout. Then here we need to say padding. I'm gonna set our padding to 5 display pixels. Then I will need to give this some background color. So I'm just gonna copy this and paste it here, right? So I need to give this some background color. So we need to get rid of this white here. Right, so let's say hashtag set 556B2F, like this, right? So we just added our background colors to the wrong thing. But anyways, it's fine, you can fix it. Right. So what we can do inside our anchor layout, right? Underneath our height here, we're gonna say anchor X, right? And we're gonna anchor this at the center, right? I'm gonna control C and control V, then change the second one to anchor Y, like this, right? Then let's put a box layout here. Then we can tab everything else inside, like this, right? So we need to give this some size int X, right? So we're gonna say size int X. We're gonna set it to none, but our width, we're gonna set it to self dot height, like this, right? Um, I think we need to make this a rounded rectangle, like this. Then give it some radius. So when I give this some radius of 5,5,5,5, like this, right? Then we need to add an image here. So here we're gonna say image. Then we're gonna give this image a source. So here we're gonna say assets images logo underscore white dot png, like this. Okay. Then underneath this anchor layout, we need to put a box layout so that we push everything upwards, right? And so here when I say box layout, like this, right? And inside this box layout, we need to put a screen manager, like this. And we're gonna give the screen manager an ID of auth underscore screen underscore manager like this. Then let's save it and run this. Okay, so our form is looking okay. So what we can do is we can give this some radius, right? We can make this a rounded rectangle and give it some radius. Then we can even try what we did with our text inputs, right? Make sure that there's some form of a border around it. So let's minimize this, right? And navigate upwards. So what we can do here, right? I'm gonna take this here, move it downwards. Then right here, I'm gonna say padding, and we're gonna set this to 1 display pixel like this, right? Then underneath our padding, we're gonna add a box layout like this. Then I'm gonna say I need to copy this here, then paste it on top here, then get rid of this white background, then say RGBA parentheses quotes hashtag E9 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 like this, right? Then let's select everything here, then tab it inside like this. So let's try running it again. We need to make sure this is a rounded rectangle, right? So here we're gonna say rounded, then I'm gonna give this some radius. So our radius is going to be 5,5,5,5 like this. Then I will need to do the same here, and we're gonna give it some radius too. So here it's gonna be 5,5,5,5 like this. So let's close it and run it again. Okay, let's minimize this. So what we need to do is we need to take this position in here, then move it and place it here, then shift tab, control S, and let's run it again. Okay. This seems to be routing a lot better. So now what we can do is we can start creating our forms now, the login form and the register form, right? So gonna minimize this, then scroll down here. So here let's just put some comments. So this one is going to be login. So let me control C and control V. And this one is going to be register like this. So underneath this comment, I'm gonna put a screen here. Then we're gonna give it a name of let's say login. So I'm gonna copy this and paste it underneath the register comment, and the name is going to be register like this, right? Okay, so in our login screen, right? Here we're gonna put a box layout like this, and we're gonna give this a vertical orientation. So here we're gonna say orientation, and we're gonna set this to vertical like this. Then we're gonna give this some padding of 10 display pixels. Then we're gonna give it some spacing also of 10 display pixels like this. Then a position ends. Um, we don't need to have a position int here, so let's just leave it like that. Then inside this box layout, right, we're gonna put an MD label here, and the text is going to be enter your credentials to sign in like this, right? Then I'm gonna align this to the center. So H align is going to be center like this. Font style is going to be label. Raw is going to be, let's say, small, like this, right? So we need to give our label a sizing, right? So let's give it a sizing of any display pixels should be fine, right? So let's put it at the top here. So here we're gonna say size int y. We're gonna set it to none, and our height we're gonna set it to 20 display pixels, like this, right? Then underneath our label, right, we need to put a box layout. So here we're gonna say box layout like this, and we're gonna give this an orientation of vertical, right, and some spacing, right. When I say to 10 display pixels, like this. So what we're gonna do now is we need to open models.py, right? Okay, preferences, we're not gonna need this one. So I'm gonna copy this one from here to here, right? Then I'm gonna paste it twice here. So I'm gonna select this up to here, then type it inside, right? Like this. Let's go back to models.py. Let's copy this. Then we're gonna paste it underneath here. Okay, so let's try running it and see how this looks. Then we can edit it from there. Okay, so we have an header, non-class and non-class MD label. So this should be in caps. Okay. This is not looking too sharp, right? So let me try do this. Okay. Okay, so let's minimize this, right? And let's just work on it, then I'll try to fix it. So the first thing we're gonna need is so this is going to be email. So this one is just say login underscore email, right? And this one is going to be enter users email address, like this, right? And the second one is going to be the password, like this. So this one, we're just gonna call it login underscore password. Then you're gonna say enter your password, like this. So we need to have an MD icon button here, right? float layout here, right? And we're gonna give this float layout size int x of none and the width of self dot height, like this, right? And inside this float layout, we're gonna put an MD icon button like this. And this MD icon button, we're gonna give it an icon, right? So this icon, right, we're gonna give two icons, right? Because this MD icon button is gonna save as our show or hide password, right? So the first one, we're gonna say I of outline like this. Then we're gonna put it inside the if statement, right? So inside our Kv file, we're gonna write our if statement is this. If so, this one, right? We'll call it login password. We need to say password is equal to true here, so that whenever we load the screen, right, the password is gonna be set to true, so the password is gonna be hidden. So here when I say Control D, Control C, right? So if login password dot password, right? So we're gonna call the password using the ID of our text field, right? Is equal to true like this, right? Else we're just going to be I outline like this, right? Okay, so now we're gonna say theme text color like this. So this is going to be custom, and text color, let's say to hashtag AD8A8C like this. All right, then when I give this a position in, so here when I say present, so here when I say center X, right, we're gonna set it to 0.5. Then when I give this center Y, which we're gonna set to 0.5 also, like this. Okay, so here we need to add an on press, right? So that whenever we press the MD icon button, we're either gonna hide or show our password, right? So here when I say on press, then when I say root dot, so we don't have this function yet, but we're just gonna put this here, then put the function inside our auth.py file. So here when I say show underscore login underscore password like this, then need to put parentheses here, right? Okay, so this one you should call it login error like this. Let's reduce the height to 20 display pixels. So we need to get rid of this ID here, right? And this needs to be let's say login, right? Wanted to say sign up, but let's just use login like this. Then on press, let's say login user. So let's get rid of this roach inside here. Then this, just gonna say login underscore user like this. So underneath the custom flat button, right? I'm gonna add a button here, right? So I'm only gonna use it here, so there's no need to create it as a custom button, right? So here I'm just gonna say button, then here I'm gonna say background normal. I'm just gonna set this to empty quotes like this. Then background down. We're gonna do the same. Then background color. So we're gonna set this to transparent, right? So here is gonna be 0, 0, 0, 0 like this. Then let's give this a size it. So let's say size int y. So it's gonna be none, and our height is going to be 35 display pixels. So it's gonna be the same as our custom flat button, right? So 35 display pixels like this. Um let's add some text here. So the text is gonna read let's say not yet registered. So this is gonna be like a question, right? So it's gonna ask you, are you not yet registered? Then it's gonna say register here. So that when we press this button, right, it's just gonna take us to the register screen, right? So here's gonna say not yet registered. Let's put a question mark here. Sign up here. Okay. Sign up here like this, right? So let's give this some color, right? So this is going to be our text color. So let's just say um AD8A8C. So let's put a hashtag at the front here. Okay. Then let's give it a font size, right? So this is not like a KivyMD button, right? So this is like a Kivy button, right? So this one I'm gonna say font size. So we're not gonna use font style here. So our font size, we're gonna set it to 9 scalable pixels, right? Then font name, we're gonna set this to app.body. So this is one of the font styles inside our assets and fonts folder, right? And we have import. If we open our init.py file, right, it's this one body. So this is gonna be open sans regular, right? So let's go back to auth.kv, right? Then on press, right? So what we can do is just gonna change the screens from inside our KV file. We're not gonna create a change screen function inside our auth.py. I mean auth.py. So we're just gonna do it inside our auth.kv, right? So here we're gonna say what did we call our screen manager? Okay, auth screen manager. So I'm just gonna copy this. Then I'm gonna paste it here, right? So auth screen manager dot current is going to be okay. So we call this register, right? So I'm gonna paste it here like this, right? So here we should have our login screen ready, but we don't have this login user function and this show login password function, right? So what I'm gonna do, let me just create it real quick. We okay, navigate to auth.py. Right. So here I'm gonna say define. So this is gonna take in self, right? So here when I say if what would you call it? So if log so let's say self dot ids dot login password dot password, right? So we're not gonna say if it's equals to true. If we just do like this, it's gonna be true, right? um Let me copy this, then paste it here. Then here when I say is equal to false like this, right? So let me copy this. So here when I say else, right? So this is going to be true. So if it's set to false, excuse me, it's gonna be changed to true, right? Um, let's create login user. So let me just copy this and create the one we're gonna use for the register, right? So this one, let's just call it show password like this, right? And this is going to be just password, right? So what we're gonna do here, I'm gonna duplicate this, and So this one is going to be password 2, and this one is going to be password 2. So when I change these to false, let's just leave this one like it was, right? Then when I change this to true, right, like this, then let's go back to auth.kv. So when I create what did we call it, login user, right? So here when I say define login user, it's gonna take in self. So we have login password and login email, right? So when I say password is equal to self.ids.login underscore password dot text, like this, right? So let me duplicate this, and this one is going to be email. So this one is going to be login email, like this. All right. So for now, we're just going to leave it like this. So let me just run this and see how this looks. So last time when we ran this, we saw that we had a blurry form, right? So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna finish working on this, then we're gonna fix it at the end of the video. So we're just gonna fix it in a few minutes time. Okay, all right. So the form that we have inside our screens, right? These are kind of blurry, right? Okay. So let's test this show password, right? Okay, so this is working. So let's test this. Okay, so this is working also, right? Okay, let's minimize this. So let's go back to auth.kv, right? So I'm just gonna copy everything from here to here, all right? Then I'm gonna paste it here, right? So we need to change this to login, and this one we're gonna say already registered. Sign in here, like this, all right? This one is going to be register user, like this, right? So this one is just going to be error, and this one is just going to be show password, like this, right? So let's get rid of this login here and here, right? So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna copy this, right, and paste it down here, right? So we're gonna change this one to password 2, like this, and this one is going to be repeat password, because whenever we registering a user, right, they're gonna enter the password the first time, and we're gonna make them repeat it so that if they match, we can register them, and if they don't, we're not gonna register them, right? And this one here, let's just leave it like password, just like this, right? So okay, password 2, password 2. This should be fine. So in addition to our email, right, um, we're gonna need a name and maybe a phone number or an address, right? Right. So let's copy this email here, hold shift, control C, then paste it twice. So the first one, right, we're gonna change it to name, like this, and this one is going to be, let's just call it name, like this. So here when I say enter users full name, right? So if you're creating this, right, if you and you wanna add, let's say, the first names separate to the second name, right, and to the last name, right, you can do it. Yeah, I'm just gonna say name, then I'm just gonna take the whole name, the first name, second names, and the surname, right? Okay, so let's scroll down, right? So we're gonna leave this email here. Just need to get rid of this login part. Then the third email, right? We're just gonna change this to phone, right? Then get rid of this login email. Then the ID is going to be phone. So here when I say enter users phone number like this, right? Okay, so all our passwords, right? So we're just gonna leave them like this. So this one we're gonna change it to register, or you can say sign up, still fine. Okay, so this should be fine. So let's just run this. Okay, so let's try changing this. Okay, so this is working just fine. So let's test these out. Okay, so this is working also. So what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna go back to auth.py, then we're gonna work on this, right? So that we can make sure that we capture the name. So this is just like our some basic form file validation, right? So we're not gonna do something that's extreme, or but we're just gonna do something small, something limited. So just gonna check them if we have a name, if we have an email, if we have a phone, if the passwords match, if the passwords are longer than 8 characters, right, then we're gonna be able to allow someone to register, right? So let's minimize this. Then navigate to auth.py here, right? So let's just do some minor form validation, right? So okay, before we do this, let's just make sure okay, so shift tab here. We're gonna say define, what do we call it? Register user. So let's just do it that before we forget anything. So it's gonna take in self, right? So here we have so let me just copy this, then I'll paste it here, right? Then duplicate this 2 more times, then duplicate this 1 more time. Okay, so this is going to be password 2, right? And this one is just gonna be password. So let's just say 2 here. This one is going to be phone, right? This one is going to be email, and this one is going to be name, like this. Okay. So what we're gonna do here is on top here we're gonna say if email is equal to empty, right? Or password is equal to empty, right? Then now we're gonna say okay, self dot ideas dot we call the first one we called it login error, right? So here we're gonna say login error dot text is equal to fill in or required fields. So let's put an exclamation mark here. So I'm gonna duplicate this, then get rid of this text, then say red in here, then change this text to color like this, right? So you're not gonna tell someone who's trying to log in that the password needs to be longer than 8 characters, right? So if the person that registered now, if it's the authorized person, right, they're gonna know their password, right, and the password length. So we're not gonna do anything here. So I'm gonna copy this, then I'll paste it down here. So let me just create some spaces. Okay. Then I paste it here, right? So down here, let's say else, right? So this else part. So for now, let's just parentheses. Then inside these parentheses, we're just gonna say um logging in user like this, right? So let me copy it, then paste it down here. So here when I say registering user like this, right? So here when I say, so we did email password or password true is equal to empty. So I'm just gonna do it in this in the order that we have it above here. So here when I say name is equal to empty or right email. So you're gonna say or phone is equal to empty like this, right? So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna let's put another if statement right inside this else here. Then here we're gonna say if password, let's just use one password, right? So when I say password, if it's less than 8 characters, right, gonna have an error, right? So we're not gonna do the same thing for password two because password two is required to match password one, right? So you're gonna say if password is less than 8, right? Okay, 8 like this, right? So here when I put this inside parentheses, right? Then at first gonna say so if length of password is less than 8 characters, right? So let's copy these errors here like this, then paste them here, right? So then here when I say password, you can say password too short or can be specific. So when I say password must be at least 8 characters long like this, right? Then we're gonna say else. Let's just copy this, then paste it here. Then we're gonna tab it one time like this, right? So here when I say if, let's get rid of this, right, is not equal to password true, right? Then when I say password do not match like this, right? Then here when I say else. So if let's say name, email, phone, password, and password two are not empty, right? And password length is more than 8 characters, is not less than 8 characters, right? And password and password two match, right? Then you're gonna say registering user, right? So let's test this out. Okay, so let's go here. Okay, let's try logging in this one. Okay, fill in all required fields. Let's put some random stuff here. Then press login. Okay, so let's minimize this and check here. So if you look right down here, we have logging in user, right? So let's open this and check out the registering function. Okay, so what's wrong with this function now? Okay, so let's minimize this. All right. So here we call it register user, right? So let's open our op.kv. Okay. So now my question is we pressed it, but it didn't do anything. I wonder why is that. Okay, let's open Py, right? Let's look at this, right? Self IDs, main.text. Okay, let's rerun this. Ah, okay, I think I know what the issue here. So let's minimize this, right? So we didn't change this to error, just error. So we kept it the same, right? So what we're doing, right, when we're running this function, right, the error message was being displayed on our login screen, right? So what we're gonna do is not just control D this, right, and just say error like this. So let's rerun this. Okay, so register, okay, fill in all required fields. So let's just enter some dummy information here. So let's leave one open here, okay? So let's enter some information here. So password must be at least 8 characters long. So let's add this. Okay, passwords do not match. So let me copy this and paste it here. Okay, so let's minimize this. So now we have registered a user here, right? Inside our terminal. So these two functions are working properly, right? So we're gonna end this video here, right? Then in the third and final video, right? We're just gonna do the backend part. So we're gonna create a database, or I'm just gonna put a file inside the GitHub repository, right? Then you're just gonna run that file, then you're gonna have our database. So that's when we're gonna do the logging in and registering, adding properties, updating, deleting, and we're gonna do those same CRUD functions for transactions and clients also. Then I'm gonna fix our dashboard also. So we're gonna do that in the third and final episode, right? So like, subscribe, and stay tuned and wait for the third and final episode for this series, right? Peace.